A Waqf is defined as the permanent dedication by a person who professes Islam of any movable or immovable property for any purpose which is recognized by the Muslim law as pious, religious or charitable. There are only two conditions that anyone must meet to be able to create a Waqf. They must be of sound mind and they must hold valid ownership claim over the property or asset. A Waqf board is the legal body that ensures the appropriate administration of a Waqf. But in India, the history of Waqf can be traced all the way back to the early days of the Delhi Sultanate, when Sultan Muizuddin Sam Gaur had dedicated 2 villages in favor of the Jama Masjid of Multan and handed its administration to Sheikhul Islam. As the Delhi Sultanate and later Islamic dynasties flourished in India, the number of Waqf properties kept increasing in India. There was a case made for the abolition of Waqfs in India in the late 19th century when a dispute over a Waqf property ended up in the Privy Council of London during the days of the British Raj. The 4 judges who heard the case declared the case as invalid. The decision of the 4 judges was not accepted in India, and the Musalman Waqf Validating Act 1913 saved the institution from destruction. The law was passed for the first time way back in 1954 when the Jawaharlal Nehru government passed the Waqf Act, which led to the centralization of Waqfs. Under this act, the government established the Central Waqf Council, which was established in 1964. The Central Waqf Council is an Indian statutory body that was established by the Government of India. It was established for the purpose of advising it on matters pertaining to the working of the state Waqfs in the country. After being passed for the first time in 1954, the Act was later repealed and a new Waqf Act was passed in 1995, which gave more powers to Waqf boards. In 2013, the Act was further amended to grant the Waqf board extensive powers to designate property as Waqf property. As of today, there are 30 Waqf boards in India, and the revenue generated by Waqf boards is estimated to be 200 crore rupees per annum. Waqf board is said to be the 3rd largest landholder in India after the Railways and Defence Department. To give you an idea of the properties that they own, originally Waqf boards had around 52,000 properties throughout India. By 2009, there were 3 lakh registered Waqf properties that covered 4 lakh acres of land. And as of this August, there are 8,72,292 such properties that cover more than 8 lakh acres of land. Each state is supposed to have a Waqf board that is led by a chairperson, including nominees from the state government, Muslim legislators, parliamentarians, members of the State Bar Council, Islamic scholars and mutawalis, that's managers of Waqfs, that have an annual income of more than 1 lakh rupees and above. The Waqf board administers Waqf properties, recovers lost properties and sanctions the transfer of immovable Waqf properties through sale, gift, mortgage, exchange or lease, with at least 2/3 of the board members voting in favor of the transaction. The board appoints custodians to ensure the Waqf and its revenue are used for their designated purposes. Joining us now live on NewsX is Advocate Vishnu Shankar Jain, Supreme Court lawyer. Vishnu, welcome to the show. You've constantly raised your voice against the unjust Waqf Act. How do you now feel that the government is likely to bring about amendments to it?
See, still we have not seen the amendments which the government is going to table before the parliament. But certainly I am hopeful that all the changes which I have suggested must be incorporated and may be incorporated. And these changes go to the root of the matter. Unbridled and unchecked powers, unfettered powers have been given to the Waqf board, which is in violation of Article 27 as well as Article 300A of the Constitution of India.
Why do you think, Vishnu, the Waqf Board Act was introduced by India in the first place?
See, initially, if we see the legislative history so far as the Waqf Act is concerned, the original Waqf Act was brought in 1913. And after that, the Waqf Act 1923 was brought in. In these 2 acts, there were no such unbridled and unchecked powers given to the Waqf board and the Waqf management system. But over a period of time, the first Waqf Act, the Central Waqf Act came in 1954. And in 1954, when the Waqf Act was brought in, unchecked and unbridled powers were given to the Waqf board. Apart from that, there was an amendment in the Waqf Act 1954 in 1984. In that, the powers of the Waqf board were increased. Apart from that, the recent Waqf Act of 1995 with amendment of 2013 gave so much unbridled and unchecked powers to the Waqf board that it has seriously been in violation of Article 27, Article 14 and 15. And let me take you through certain provisions of the Waqf Act 1995. For example, Section 4, 5 and 6 of the Waqf Act is very draconian, because under Section 6, initially the law was that it can be the survey which is conducted under these three sections, it will not apply to non-Muslims. But now that word person interested has been changed to person aggrieved under Section 6. And now the recent judgment of the Supreme Court has come in Rashid Wali Beg, wherein the law is that if the survey is conducted under Section 4, 5, and 6, it will apply to non-Muslims also. Then the entire cost of this survey is borne by the state government under Section 8, which is in clear violation of Article 27. Under Section 40 sub clause 1 and 40 sub clause 3, the Waqf board has the power to declare any land as Waqf property. Such power is not there with any other section of the society. Section 54, 55, the Waqf board has the direction to give to the state government to remove the encroachments. Such power is not there with any other members of the society. For Gyan Vyapi, Mathura, Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi, we are fighting a long legal battle for removing the encroachments. But here under Section 54, 55, they can give directions to remove the encroachments. Under Section 85, Waqf Tribunal has been constituted. This Waqf Tribunal itself is unconstitutional because it is in violation of Article 323A and 323B. 323 and 323B are the two articles in the Constitution which give the subjects on which alternative dispute resolution and administrative tribunals can be set up. Waqf Tribunal does not fall in that criteria and category. The composition of Waqf Tribunal is also unconstitutional because the criteria is, as per Section 83, that there has to be one person who is well known in Islamic law. There is no such criteria in this country for any other section of the society. Under Section 89, if you have to file a case against the Waqf board, you have to give them 2 months prior notice, which gives them the status of a parallel government. Under Section 101, you consider the public, you consider the members of the Waqf board and other mutawallis as public servants, which is not given which status has not been given to any other section of the society. Section 107, the Act of Limitation Act 1963, they have been given exemption. Such power, such a provision is not there with any other section of the society. So the entire scheme of the Act and the provisions which I am highlighting, the point which I am trying to make is this, that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you will give unchecked, unfettered powers to a particular section of the society, it is bound to be misused, and it has been misused.
Yes. Now, what amendments would you expect in this Act now, and what do you believe would be the likely impact, Vishnu?
I think the sections which I pointed out, Section 4, 5, and 6, there should be an amendment, and the person aggrieved word should be changed to person interested. The basic amendment which I am seeking is that Waqf Act 1995 should not apply to non-Muslims. Point number 1. Point number 2, the status of public servant which has been given to the members of Waqf board must be taken away. Waqf Tribunal must be abolished. The power to give directions to the state government to remove encroachments must be abolished. They must not be given the status of a government, just like Section 89. Limitation Act should apply to them. These are the certain changes which we feel and believe must be brought in the Waqf Act. Apart from that, the composition of Waqf board must also be changed so that more women representatives from the Muslim community can be included in that tribunal, in that Waqf board. Yes.
Okay. And what do you think needs to be done to re-examine the properties already under control of the Waqf board?
I think that you have asked a very important question. So far as the properties of Waqf board are concerned, a detailed inquiry and a detailed examination is required to be conducted so far as the properties of the Waqf board are concerned, because most of these properties have been usurped by the Waqf board. After defense and railway, the Waqf is the third highest owner of land in the country, and all this land is not genuine land. Most of the land have been taken by encroachment, which must be checked. And apart from that, I also wanted to highlight that the definition of Waqf Act under Section 3R and the concept of Waqf by user also needs to be revisited by the government.
Yes. We will now be seeing several people claiming this is snatching, though, of rights of the Muslims. How do we effectively ensure that they don't create a divide in society?
I think that it is not a question of law being anti-Muslim. If you will see the Waqf Act of 1913 and 1923, it was for the management of interstate dispute between the two communities, Shia and Sunni. But later on, this law has been given such wide powers that now it is applying to the other sections of the society, for example, non-Muslim. So there we have a problem. And apart from that, I must quote you two books so far as the Bailey's Mohammedan law is concerned, as well as Mullah's Mohammedan law is concerned. In both these books, under paragraph 176, the definition of Waqf has been given, and the definition is that a person who is having his own land which he has acquired during his lifetime and is having clear title, he can dedicate that property only as Waqf property. So this definition has been changed under Section 3R. So that is the biggest problem. So the question is not about being anti-Muslim. The question is that if you are giving a power to certain section of the society, which is beyond the provisions of the Constitution, so we are trying to have a check over such unfettered and unbridled powers.
Yes. Do you think that the Waqf Act, through repeated amendments, has been used as a tool to appease the minorities then, Vishnu?
Definitely, it's a tool to appease the minorities. In 1913 and 1923, no such provisions were existing, which are existing in today's Waqf Act 1954 and 1995 with amendments of 2013. Unfettered and unchecked powers have been given, and definitely, its entire act has been constituted to appease the members of the Muslim community. And in the appeasement politics, the result is that after defense and railway, the Waqf is the third highest owner of land in the country.
All right, Vishnu Shankar then, Jain, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective on that story. Let me also quickly join Naveen Chomal, senior lawyer, joining us live. Naveen, clearly, of course, big plans by the central government. Perhaps this bill will come in this week itself in Parliament. What's your take? Do you believe it's a need of the hour?
It's highly needed that we drastically amend the Waqf Act. The 1995 Act was also a draconian one, as rightly pointed out by Vishnuji. And 2013, the amendment, they again gave the sweeping powers. In fact, this is not an act, I would say, in our democracy. It's basically an instrument of appeasing Muslims endlessly. You see, the Muslims have been given virtual powers to grab the lands of the people. We've seen the cases in South India where the temple was around 1500 years old temple. That means the Islam was not even conceived at, and before that the temple was in existence, and these people grabbed the temple saying it's a Waqf property. So you see the dishonesty of that particular community and the people, and so many Waqf code are there, unfettered, unchecked by the law, constitution.
Well, I don't know if you can tar a complete community because of actions of some, Naveen. It is clearly, of course, if the Waqf board and if certain Muslims, of course, and Muslim boards under Waqf board act are doing wrong, then that needs to be corrected. But to tar a particular community because of actions of some is also not correct, and I won't allow you to do that on national television.
No, let me explain. How long will you media people be so coward and so, try to mince your words so timidly? Let us accept the reality.
Naveen Chomal, you must have some restraint. This is not your personal YouTube channel. This is a national channel. So you need to have some restraint when you're talking about, and otherwise you need to back it up with facts. Feroz Bakht Ahmed, come in here. Naveen Chomal is tarring the entire Muslim community. He is saying they are guilty. They are snatching lands of Hindus. Your response?
All right. I have heard both my learned friends about Waqf board. Before I answer your question or the question of Mr. Chomal, and I also have to say something about my dear friend Vishnu Jain Saab. See, all your listeners must be intent to find out what exactly is this Waqf thing. Let me tell you one thing. Over the years, for almost a millennium, the emperors, the Muslim emperors, the sultans, all the other landed people, landed gentry, they left some property for the benefit of common Muslims, the Muslims who could not afford to build madrasas, mosques, schools, khanqahs, or maybe certain places where people live. So they donated these properties, and there are two kinds of properties in Waqf. One is Waqf al-Awlad. This Waqf al-Awlad is for one's children, for one's families. That has nothing to do with this Waqf which we are discussing today, or 1995 Act, or 1954 Act, or whatever. But there is one Waqf al-Allah. Waqf al-Allah means Waqf land which is given for charity. Now, what Mr. Chomal was saying, in a way he was correct, not for the entire Muslim community, but for certain Waqf boards. Now, what these Waqf boards have done, their officers and their lawyers, they have got in touch with some people and they've frittered away a lot of property, right? In fact, let me tell you one thing, that almost 8 lakh acres of land in India belongs to Waqf. Let me just peter it out to Delhi only. In Delhi, it is said that 77% of land belongs to Waqf, right? Whether it is High Court of Delhi, whether it is CGO complex, whether it is Delhi Public School, whether it is any other big, in 77%, all these properties come. But, why these have been encroached upon, maybe government, maybe individuals, because the Waqf board officers, the people who were responsible, who were custodians of these property, they have sold them. One more example from Mumbai, where, this man lives, they talk a lot about money. He has got a huge patch of land where he has built his house, and that house has been given away to Ambani for just 21.5 crore of rupees. Its market value is, you will laugh at it, is more than 700 crore rupees. And if you go to a place like Bengaluru, there is a very famous Windsor Hotel. Windsor Hotel, they are charging just 12,000 rupees per month. It's a work property. And the property is more than, in fact, 800 crore of rupees. So this way, these officers and lawyers of the Waqf board have sold the land just to fill their own coffers.
Yes, and the fact is that obviously this appeasement was allowed by successive governments. Nothing was done about it, Feroz Bakht Ahmed.
Absolutely. It was allowed by these successive governments.
Why didn't community, but why didn't people from the community like you also raise their voice?
We are in a very, very small minority, a very pitiable minority. I have been fighting for all these PILs and cases to save, let me give you one more example. This masjid, Fatehpuri Masjid at the end of Chandni Chowk, it has huge, it's in a huge area, and all the shops around it, each and every shop is worth 20 to 50 crores of rupees. But either their, the rents are something like, 100 rupees, 500 rupees, 400 rupees per month, or they have been, sold to these. Now, in fact, the government has brought up this kind of amendment, or wants to bring amendment. It is not anti-Muslim. It is for Muslims, because the government will come to know, the Muslim community will also come to know, the entire world will come to know how these properties, important properties, which were meant for the benefit of poor Muslims, have been frittered away, have been given in peanuts, have been, in fact, this is what it is. And one last example before I give the mic to you. In Ajmer also has this Khwaja Sahib Waqf Act of 1955. There is also Qazi Act. Under it also there are many properties. One example I'll give you. There is one hotel, Jannat Nishan Hotel.
Okay, so clearly, yes, I got your point. Many hotels, many other properties are being sold at a pittance. They're taken advantage of because of these clauses, Naveen Chomal, and it's happened despite political governments being aware of this. Simply because of appeasement, everyone has looked the other way.
Exactly, that is what I've been trying
One more point I had to add.
No, Feroz Bakht Ahmed, please allow Naveen also to speak.
Mr. Chomal was talking about
Feroz Bakht Ahmed, let's, you've had enough time. Feroz Bakht Ahmed, you've had enough time, sir. You should have raised this point earlier. I've given you enough time now. Let's hear Naveen Chomal, please. Naveen Chomal.
So you see, there is a big unrest in the Hindu community, and you must have seen the social media reactions everywhere. So we cannot shut the eyes to it. The government cannot shut the eyes to it. In fact, this type of legislation will create further rift between the Hindus and Muslims. So the harmony which we are trying to, cherish and highlight, promote in the country, it is being harmed by such acts and such things. Congress government had done the particular amendment in 2013 only to win 2014 elections. You please the community. The message goes everywhere. And you see, the properties of other Hindus are also being asserted by these Waqf boards all over the country. So it is not just one place where we are pinpointing. but it's a common phenomenon all across the country. As my friend Firoz Saab very rightly said, that as bad as 9 lakh acres of land are there in the country which are now under the control of Waqf Board. Is it possible? So this is a astoundingly wrong figure that they have assumed, and we have been seeing in so many ways, other ways also, the people are usurping the government lands. For example, in Mumbai and across the Mumbai beach, we are seeing collector lands are there. Bangladeshi people come, and then the Congress government have been giving them, you occupy this land, you occupy that land, and the moment you don't vote for us, you will be evacuated. So government lands have been usurped by the particular community for a long time, for decades. So this is a factor which is weighing in the minds of Hindus for a long time. That's why there is a pressure on the government that as the media reports go, around 40 amendments are being sought. So what Vishnuji rightly pointed out, that many of the powers which were given, for example, they were given powers like IS officers to directly give orders to the government, the collector office to remove the encroachments as per the whims. So this is not allowed. This should not be allowed in a country. I hope now my points is clear to you, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so clearly, of course, this shouldn't be allowed. This and would you urge the government then to pass this bill as soon as possible? We are hearing that their allies are also on board. Would you urge them to pass this bill as soon as possible then?
Exactly. If you see the social media also, it is not just Naveen Chaumal, but entire nation is now up in the arms, and they want the government to act something, take some strong action. It should be visible to the nation that now this government means business. Or otherwise, what would happen is that see, I'll tell you what has been happening. People say that all these decades, Congress fooled the Muslims and took their votes, and Atal Bihari government fooled the Hindus and took their votes. So Modi should not meet the fate of Atal Bihari, where Hindus should lose faith in the Modi government. If government doesn't act in the interest of the nation, then it will be very difficult for the government or the Hindu community to go and vote for BJP. You have seen the decline in the vote for the BJP this time. This is the reason why the people are demoralized. So government should take the cue. Government should wake up. It's a wake-up call for the government.
Yes, absolutely. It is a wake-up call for the government. Yes, Feroz Bakht Ahmed, you wanted to respond to a point that Naveen Chaumal made earlier. Go ahead now.
I just wanted to add this thing. Mr. Chaumal has very rightly mentioned that somewhere in South India, maybe in Chennai, maybe elsewhere also, the Waqf people said that this village belongs to us. And he also told about the example of some temple, which was, 1600 years old, and they said this property. Now, this kind of power is given to the Waqf Board by its Schedule 40B, Part B, right? This is undue, right? And anything which is undue can be challenged in a court of law, right? If any person says, okay, this temple is mine, right? This belongs to the Waqf Board, and it is 1200 years old. Now, usually they say, if the Waqf Board officers challenge that this belongs to us, they need not show the papers, but that temple or that shop or that house or that property or that mall will have to prove that it does not belong to Waqf Board. It is that way, but I believe it has nothing to do with Hindu-Muslim. If the amendment is made, a lot of benefit will come to the Muslim community, because there are many properties will be freed. And if these properties are freed, these will pay for the fees of students, poor, talented Muslim students, meritorious Muslim students who have no money to pay for their engineering fees or their medical fees or any other course fees, or to go abroad for a particular course, in some country like US, UK, or Germany. So if this amendment is made in the right manner, then a lot of Muslim community will also benefit, because the properties which have been encroached upon, right, by people, Waqf properties, that money or those properties will come back to the Waqf Board. And honestly, Waqf Board has no, I can vouch, and with guarantee I'm saying, no Waqf Board in India. I think there are around 18 or 20 Waqf Boards all over India. None of these Waqf Boards is honest, and they should all be dissolved. A proper, honest Waqf Act and Waqf Board should actually come into being.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.